This bike cost $100,000 to build. It launched an era of speed that paralyzed two champions and forced the AMA to ban an entire class of motorcycles. And when they finally did, Honda won even more. We're counting down 8 motorcycles that didn't just break bones, they broke the rules. Some forced the AMA to rewrite their entire rulebook. Others destroyed entire companies, and one of them ended a career on national television in front of 35,000 people. Let's go. Bike number 8, 1974 Can-Am MX250. The snowmobile company that swept the nationals. Can-Am, a Canadian snowmobile manufacturer using Austrian Rotax engines, shows up to American motocross and does the unthinkable. They go 1-2-3 in the AMA 250 National Championship. Gary Jones first, Marty Moes second, Jimmy Ellis third. A snowmobile company just embarrassed Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki. Here's how they did it. The Rotax motor was a 247 cubic centimeters rotary valve 2-stroke making 35 horsepower. It was the fastest 250 engine in motocross, period. The problem? Everything else. Riders said it had tons of reverb, lots of feedback. The brakes would heat up and disappear after 15 minutes. One tester wrote it handled like it was possessed. But Gary Jones didn't need to win every race. He just had to finish. Consistency beats speed. And for 2 years, Can-Am dominated, then collapsed. Bombardier was overwhelmed with snowmobile orders. They outsourced motorcycle development to England. Quality control fell apart. By 1987, Can-Am motorcycles were dead. They stayed dead for almost 40 years until their electric bike returned in 2024. But the glory days of the rotary valve 250, that history is buried. Riders called them canned hams, and depending on who you ask, that's either a badge of honor or an insult. Bike number 7, 1970, Husqvarna 400 Cross. The bike Steve McQueen made immortal. February 1966, Edison Dye imports the first Husqvarnas to America and organizes the Inter-Am series. Brings over European legends like Torsten Hallman and Roger de Coster. Hallman wins all 21 motos. Americans had never seen anything like it. Then in 1971, Steve McQueen rides a Husqvarna 400 Cross in Bruce Brown's film On Any Sunday, gets nominated for an Oscar. McQueen appears on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Suddenly, motocross isn't a niche European sport anymore. The 400 Cross, 396 cubic centimeters, air-cooled 2-stroke, 40 horsepower, 231 pounds. If you were a Hollywood tough guy in the early 70s, you had a Husky. In October 2018, McQueen's actual On Any Sunday bike sold at auction for $230,500. One of the most expensive motocross bikes ever sold. But there's a dark side. Edison Dye created American motocross. Then the AMA took over his series, renamed it Trans AMA, and pushed him out completely. Dye disappeared from motorcycling for 23 years. When they finally inducted him into the AMA Hall of Fame in 1999, people called him the father of American motocross. His reward for building the sport? Getting banned from it. Bike number 6, 1986, Yamaha YZ490. The obsolete bike that won championships and killed an entire class. Honda's spending millions on liquid-cooled works bikes. Kawasaki's developing the KX500. And Yamaha does nothing. The YZ490 stays air-cooled, unchanged from 1982 to 1990. And it was a disaster. 488 cubic centimeters 2-stroke making 55 horsepower, but you couldn't jet it. If you ran it rich enough to keep from seizing, it would blubber and foul plugs. If you jetted it to run strong, it would detonate and blow up. Motor mounts cracked from vibration. Yamaha issued service bulletin after service bulletin. None of them worked. So how did Brock Glover win the 1983 and 1985 AMA 500 national championships on this thing? Talent. Pure talent against Honda's unlimited budget works bikes. But here's the thing, Yamaha's refusal to develop the 490 killed the 500 class. Suzuki abandoned the open class in 1984. Yamaha ran an archaic air-cooled relic. By 1993, only Honda and Kawasaki fielded competitive 500s. The AMA pulled the plug, ended the premier class, and riders are still angry about it. Did Yamaha kill the 500 class, or did the AMA? Let me know in the comments. But the bike at number 3 did something no production motorcycle has done before or since, and the story of what happened to his rider afterward will stay with you. Bike number 5, 1982, Honda CR 480R. Danny Chandler's machine of triumph and tragedy. Honda fumbled the open class for years. Then Roger DeCoster took over as team manager, guided development of the CR 480R. 472 cubic centimeters air-cooled two-stroke, reed valve, 52 horsepower, 226 pounds, and it was mean. One Honda magazine warned, "Don't try starting it in the garage in tennis shoes." One of our guys bruised his instep and he had his motocross boots on. Swing arms cracked, clutches wore out, kickstart shafts broke. It only had a 4-speed gearbox in 1982. Honda's own people said it may be too quick for other than professional riders. On this bike and its factory brother, the RC500, Danny "Magoo" Chandler became a legend. 1982, he won the 500 cubic centimeters US Grand Prix at Carlsbad, won the ABC Superbikers race. Then he did something no rider has done before or since. He swept all 4 motos at both the Motocross des Nations and Trophée des Nations. Only rider ever to win both motos of both events in a single year. DeCoster said, "The fans just loved him. Even though he never won the championship, his riding style generated a tremendous amount of publicity." December 5th, 1985. Paris-Bercy Supercross. Chandler's doing his signature rodeo whip off the finish line jump during a heat race. A photographer's flash reportedly went off at the wrong moment. He came down with his left hand off the bars, crashed into hay bales, broke his neck. Paralyzed from the chest down at age 26, he just signed with an Italian Kawasaki team to race the 1986 World Championship. It was over. Chandler lived as a quadriplegic for 25 years, died on May 4th, 2010, 50 years old. The MXdN sweep will never be matched, and neither will the tragedy of what happened after. Bike number 4, 1973, Honda CR 250M, Elsinore. The bike that destroyed European motocross. Soichiro Honda had a rule: Honda will never build a 2-stroke motorcycle. Company doctrine since the post-war era. But Honda's 4-stroke prototypes were getting destroyed by Suzuki 2-strokes in test races. So Honda's engineers did it anyway, in secret. October 1972, Honda announces the CR 250M Elsinore. 248 cubic centimeters air-cooled 2-stroke. Magnesium engine covers. Aluminum fuel tank. Close ratio 5-speed gearbox. 214 pounds dry. The lightest production motocrosser in the world. Price, $1,145. A Myco replacement piston cost $50 and had to be special ordered from Germany. An Elsinore piston, $11.40 at your local Honda dealer. May 13th, 1973. First AMA National the Elsinore ever entered. Florida, Gary Jones won. Then he won the 1973 AMA 250 National Championship, 8 overall victories. Dirt Bike magazine wrote, "It's difficult to write a test on a motorcycle that has so little wrong and so much right. Until now, the mythical composite motorcycle never existed." But here's what they didn't mention. The Elsinore had a light switch power band, nothing below the pipe, then sudden explosion. If you tried to ride it before it was completely warmed up, it would either stall or turn into what testers called a freaky monster. Within 5 years, Husqvarna, CZ, Bultaco, Greaves, gone from American motocross. The Japanese invasion was complete, and it started with a bike Honda said they'd never build. The top 3 didn't just change motocross, they changed the rules of the entire sport, and they destroyed 2 of the greatest careers we've ever seen. Bike number 3, 1980, Yamaha YZ490. The privateer bike that humiliated the factories on national television. June 22nd, 1980, Carlsbad Raceway, 35,000 people in the stands, a BC-wide world of sports cameras rolling, the 500 cubic centimeters United States Grand Prix. And, on the starting line, is Marty Moates. Privateer, LOP, backed production Yamaha YZ490. He's lining up against Roger DeCoster, Andre Malherbe, Brad Lackey, Danny Laporte, full factory riders, works bikes. The YZ490 was brutal. 465 cubic centimeters air-cooled two-stroke, 52 horsepower, 238 pounds. But the power delivery, one rider said, grabbing a handful of throttle exiting a corner is completely wrong on a 465. The front wheel will lift and the rider exits over the berm. The kickstart was so violent that riders on the starting line called it the kick, kick, kapow chorus. But Marty Moates had a trick. Before each moto, he pre-seasoned the slippery concrete starting pad with dirt. Guaranteed hole shot, every time. Moto 1. He gets the hole shot, then crashes in a corner, remounts, repasses Karlqvist and Laporte, still wins. Moto 2. Hole shot again, runs away from the field. Marty Moates. Privateer on a stock bike, just won both motos of the US Grand Prix. First American victory in the event's 10-year history at Carlsbad. Here's the part they don't tell you. Moates went on to co-found the No Fear clothing brand in the 1990s, made millions. Then on December 7th, 2006, he died by suicide at his home in La Costa, California. Age 49. Friends said he suffered from severe chronic pain from years of motorcycle injuries and stomach ulcers. Greatest upset in motocross history and one of the saddest endings. Bike number 2, 1989 Honda CR250R, peak two-stroke, and the injury that changed everything. The 1989 Honda CR250R, 249 cubic centimeters, liquid-cooled two-stroke, power valve, 44 horsepower, 205 pounds dry, first Japanese production motocross bike with inverted Showa forks. The most technically advanced 250 ever built. But those forks were a nightmare, undersprung, over-damped, nasty mid-stroke spike, metal-to-metal clank on jump landings. Period tests showed riders needed $500 in suspension tuning just to make the bike rideable. No one aside from Rick Johnson found the forks to be an improvement. And Rick Johnson was unstoppable on it. 1989, he won the first 5 Supercrosses of the season. Just broke Bob Hanna's all-time record with 28 career Supercross victories. He was the best rider on earth, undisputed. Then, Gatorback National, Gainesville, Florida, morning practice. Johnson scrubs a jump to stay low while passing Danny Storbeck. Storbeck jumps high, lands directly on Johnson's right wrist, shattered it. Johnson's own words, "I have 2 joints left in my wrist, one behind my pinky and one joint in my hand. When I ride, I twist the throttle by twisting it in my fingers. I basically ride one-handed." He won 2 more nationals in 1990 with a hand that went completely numb after a few laps, then retired. Age 26, 7 championships, 61 national wins. Jeff Stanton inherited the Honda throne. Here's the legacy. From 1983 to 1996, the Honda CR250R won 9 of 15 AMA motocross titles, 13 of 15 Supercross championships. Hansen, Bailey, O'Mara, Johnson, Stanton, Bale, McGrath. The greatest dynasty in motocross history. RJ would have been the undisputed GOAT if not for Gatorback. But even at number 2, this bike changed the sport forever. Quick honorable mentions before number 1. 1973, Suzuki TM 400 Cyclone, tank slapper from hell. 1986, Honda CR 500R, light switch power band. 2001, Yamaha YZ490F, the leg breaker. If you rode any of these, you're either brave or insane. But nothing compares to number 1, because this wasn't just a dangerous bike. It was so unfair, so expensive, and so devastating that they literally had to ban it. Bike number 1, 1985, Honda RC250 works bike. Number 1, the $100,000 machine that launched an era of speed no one could control. Before 1986, factory teams raced fully custom, hand-built works bikes, not modified production bikes, completely different machines. And Honda's RC250 was the apex predator. 249 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled two-stroke, electronically controlled power valve, billet engine cases, titanium fasteners, Magnesium components everywhere. Carbon fiber airbox that doubled as a sub-frame. Hand-machined Showa forks that cost an estimated $13,000, the forks alone. Cost per bike, $50,000 to $100,000. Some sources say fully kitted 1986 HRC bikes hit $200,000. One industry site called it having not a single part in common with the production CR250R. Rick Johnson said it best. I still think that to this day, there was no team to ever match that mid-1980s Honda team. Honda was spending a lot of money. There may not have even been a budget back then. The technology gap was absurd. Brock Glover was racing a near-stock Yamaha YZ490 against Honda's works fleet. On the starting line, he joked with David Bailey that the fill plug on Bailey's clutch case had more technology in it than his entire bike. Bailey showed up one day with a kangaroo skin seat cover. Glover asked him, "What is the point of having a kangaroo skin seat?" Bailey said, "Was it Honda saying we have money and we have to spend it?" The AMA had enough. They announced that starting January 1st, 1986, all bikes must be production-based. At least 400 units produced, homologated at $5,000 per model. This production rule is the most significant regulation in American motocross history. And it was, as multiple sources confirm, aimed squarely at Honda and its exorbitant race budget. Here's the devastating irony. Honda dominated even more after the rule. Their production CR250R was so far ahead of competitors that they swept every class in 1986. Bob Hanna said it best. There was nothing production about a professional racer's production-based race bike. The whole thing has been complete bullshit since January 1st, '86. But the speeds this bike introduced came with a staggering human cost. The era of unlimited works bikes pushed the sport to levels that human bodies couldn't handle. Donnie Hansen wins both the AMA Supercross and 250 national championships for Honda, then suffers a career-ending closed-head injury at a practice track in Germany, never raced again. And then, the most tragic loss. Even after the works bikes were banned, the culture of speed they created didn't stop. January 11th, 1987, David Bailey, Honda's reigning multi-class champion, arguably the smoothest rider ever, 1 year after the production rule, crashes attempting a double jump at Huron Cycle Park near Fresno during a preseason practice session. Went over the handlebars. The bike cartwheeled and landed on him. Damaged his T4 and T5 thoracic vertebrae. David Bailey was paralyzed from the chest down at age 25. His own words. "I was attempting a double jump that no one else was even thinking about doing. It was a case of too much confidence." Johnny O'Mara had warned him moments before that he was pushing the limits too far. Bailey later won the Ironman Triathlon Physically Challenged division in 2000. The Honda RC250 was the fastest motorcycle ever built. It forced the AMA to rewrite their entire rulebook, and the era of speed it created destroyed two of the greatest careers in the history of the sport. 8 bikes that didn't just break bones, they broke the rules, and they changed motocross forever. Which of these bikes would you have been brave enough to ride? Drop your brand in the comments. Are you Team Honda, Team Yamaha, Team Kawasaki, Team Suzuki, or are you old school European and still bitter about the Japanese invasion? And if you actually rode any of these bikes, we need to hear your story. The good, the bad, and the hospital visits. Hit subscribe if you want more motocross history that shows how we got from there to here. We're just getting started. Ride safe out there.